Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you've clicked on it, you probably want to know about the Sony ZV-1, and I'm going to tell you why this is probably the greatest camera to start your vlog on. Let's get into it. Hey, thanks again for sticking with me thus far. You made it through the first couple seconds of my video. Before we get any further, hit like, hit subscribe, comment down below after you've watched the video. Are you gonna buy this camera? Why do you like it if you have bought it, or why do you hate it? What other cameras do you recommend? I'm always looking for some tips and tricks out there. All right, enough about that. Let's talk about the camera. So this camera, the ZV-1, is what I started my blog on, and I haven't been at it very long, and I've already kind of upgraded, but I found out that for the types of videos I want to make, I need two cameras. So this is now my travel camera as well as my B-roll camera. So let me take some of these parts and pieces off and kind of show you why I love this camera and why I think this is great. So the first thing is, to get this really cool kind of blurred background, you need a low f-stop, and this camera comes with, if you see, 1.8 is your lowest f-stop depending on your zoom. So you're, for a really inexpensive, and this is an integrated lens, it's all one unit, this is pretty low f-stop, which I'm super impressed with, and it's Zeiss, so really high quality image, and a lot of my early videos are shot on it. It's got an internal battery compartment right here, and you also put the memory card in here, and it can hold a standard SD card, which I really like. One thing I really like about it is the screen that flips out that you can rotate and all the way down towards the back, or all the way to the top, or all the way forward, which is really helpful when you turn it on. You can kind of see, I got my boxes over here. But this is really helpful, and especially when you're trying to film yourself like I am, the screen is super important. And if you ever see me kind of looking off to the side, I'm probably checking the screen to make sure that I'm in the shot. One of the upgrades I've done to this is I put it on a small rig. I'm a huge fan of this because I just found out about this company, and I know people are like, well, where have you been? Yes, I've been living under a rock. But if you've got a camera that they make a rig for, this is a really great feature, because one of the things that I hated about this camera, that the small rig really helps, is this feature underneath where the battery compartment is. When you screw in your bipod or tripod, it blocks the battery cartridge, and these have really short battery. I'm willing to wager you can get about an hour, if that, out of a battery if you're lucky. Probably less, to be truthfully honest, depending on if you're shooting in 4K or 1080. I don't know. It really bothered me. So I was looking for a solution, and this small rig offsets the mount so that you can, and I've got a quick detach added too. Pretty awesome. If you've never seen these, love them. That's the Hawk lock, I almost forgot. This really helps it because now you can reach the battery compartment as well as the SD card, and it's a little goofy, but it's actually super balanced. I've also added some of these extra touch points or attachment points here so I can kind of play around things. Here I can mount my wireless mic receiver if I want to go directly in. I can put a secondary mic up here, and I can put a light here. I've got a small light that I mount when needed. Really like this small rig, really helps a lot. There's tons of additional attachment points all over the place, and I love it. This is just a cheap tripod, which I kind of take everywhere when I travel. This does shoot in 4K and 1080p. I can shoot up to 120 frames per second. With 1080, I can go 4K, I believe 60 on this one as well. Something I'm learning as I learn more about vlogging is that 4K is great. I don't think there's much 4K difference with a lot of the videos, but trying to store all of that memory has been a real problem. I've actually learned how to set up NASs, network attached storage, to try and deal with all this, because you take a 64 or 120 gigabyte SD card and you're only getting maybe an hour worth of video out that if you're lucky. Yeah, that video can add up fast. This has a great internal audio on top. Let me see if I can zoom that in right there. Yep, right there. Love the video. In fact, when I travel, sometimes I don't even pull it out, but I do like to attach different types of microphones on top. I love it. This does go from a 9.4 millimeter to down to like a 25.7, it says. a 10 to a 20, basically a 25, and I have found that that's really nice for vlogging. And especially as you're learning, like me, more about camera stuff, you've got full manual or full auto, so it really does, it's a great place to start. One thing I also like are the features here on the side of the camera where I've got all these attachments, HDMI, power, and microphone as well. Really have loved this camera, but I did just pick up an A6600 with a 16mm lens, which I will definitely do a review about. But I really think this is probably one of your, other than a GoPro, to get this style of vlog, which I really like, and a little bit more cinematic look. This is a great all-around camera. Again, the only downside are the batteries are super small and don't last that long. Let me show you a battery. This is the battery for, let me see here. This is the battery for the ZV-1, super small, and this is the battery for the A6600. You can kind of see how the big size difference. These batteries do not last that long, so I literally end up carrying a bag of batteries around. And the other downside I don't like is neither camera comes with dual memory card slots. As I get going and shooting more, that is something that's going to matter more, is the ability to have redundant systems, because as I use my memory cards more, which I try to replace them regularly, I know that I'm going to get some lost memory cards or some corrupted data, so having the dual memory card option is something that I am pretty interested in. But I do have a 2-camera system, and I really like the ZV-1 because it does fit in your pocket. I've got a little padded pouch, or if you've got like a little Pelican case, it's great for traveling. It fits easily all over the place, whereas my A6600 is quite a bit bigger, and I love the dynamics of the shot, but it's just not as easy to transport around, and there's no side flip camera. But if you have done a vlog with a GoPro, it's fine. I like to use GoPros from time to time, but I really think that if you're trying to up your video game, that the ZV-1 is a great entry into a vlogging camera. It does have a touchscreen on the back, which I really appreciate, and it's got all the normal controls. I really like that all the Sony stuff is all the same. It's all on the right hand. If you're left-handed, I feel like that is a detriment to all people who are left-handed, is having all the controls on the right side of the camera. And then the top is pretty standard, but I do like that as I go between cameras, that all of the cameras feel the same. It is pretty thin, it is really lightweight. It's not a full frame, but it's the APS-C, which is totally fine for what I'm doing. It does, I've never taken a picture with it, but it can do that as well. The other thing I don't necessarily like is that every time you flip it out, you've got this motor in here that's gonna push the lens in and out. I know it's designed to do that, but I want my stuff to last, so I try not to. I was getting to the point where I was just taking this out, you know, opening and closing it, and I'm sure I'm gonna wear it out prematurely, which don't have a huge camera budget right now, so also really appreciate. And now that the small rig's on it too, it's definitely gonna help to protect it. And again, that's pretty small when it's closed down. Great camera, it's got all the things that you need. I think you should check it out. I think I got it for like 500 bucks. So yeah, pretty awesome. I'm assuming there's a lot of probably used ones on eBay as well, where people have ditched that and upgraded. Maybe they're going up to the A7, which one day, but until then, we're gonna shoot on these two. So hey, I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed it and learned something. Check it out. Comment below if you've used the ZV-1. There's not a lot of downsides to it. It's a good all-around camera. It just may not be as much as you're looking for, but if you're going from your iPhone or from a GoPro and wanted a little bit more substantial rig, then it's a great jumping off one. Really appreciate your time and attention. As always, thank you so much. Please hit that like button and subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.